Let's talk some more X-Men. X-Men Apocalypse released in 2016, along with another X-Men movie, which was Deadpool, and I bloody love Deadpool. It's one of my favourite comic movies of all time. But today we're going to talk about X-Men Apocalypse, because I reviewed a few of the other X-Men prequel movies. I reviewed the Wolverine, X-Men, Days of Future Past, and First Class. And I rewatched the third movie in the prequel X-Men trilogy, which is Days of Future Past, leading up to Dark Phoenix, which comes out, I don't even bloody know, like July or something. Who cares? I'm just waiting for Avengers Endgame to come out next week. But let's talk about X-Men Apocalypse anyway, because this is the one that I don't like as much as First Class, and I definitely don't like as much as Days of Future Past, because those two movies were so clever and set up a certain style and were so unique to the X-Men franchise, and this one sort of feels more like those first three X-Men films. This movie has a lot of fantastic moments. I'm going to get into those now. I am going to talk about spoilers in this review, so spoilers for X-Men Apocalypse if you've never seen it. But let's get straight in with some of those amazing moments. First off, we have Quicksilver, another great Quicksilver scene in this film, which was amazing. The song usage was great. It's a really funny scene. It's really well filmed. I love it as much as the scene from Days of Future Past. I think with every X-Men film, I can't wait to see what scene they do in Dark Phoenix for this. I just want to see loads and loads of these Quicksilver scenes. I love Quicksilver in these X-Men movies, and I loved him in here too. The relationship he has with his father, Magneto, and at the end of the movie where he doesn't tell him that he's his father was really, really emotional. That was quite a really good moment. There's a lot of really good emotional moments in this movie. This movie is a clunky film that's badly paced, but it's put in with such amazing moments, X-Men moments, and one of those moments is Magneto in the forest. This was... Before that scene, I was sort of getting a bit bored of this movie. I was waiting for it to pick up, but as soon as that scene hit, I just felt something with this film. And it was so great. That scene was incredibly emotional for Magneto's character. We get a lot more backstory for other characters like Professor X and Cyclops and Jean Grey in this movie. Then when we watch the other X-Men movies, we feel a lot more impact, because we know what these characters' backstories were like. We know that we have to deal with. Apocalypse is the villain. I think Oscar Isaac plays a fantastic performance, but I found the character of Apocalypse lacking, because from the comics, I love Apocalypse in the comics. I think he's great. I've always wanted to see him put him big on the big screen, and I was absolutely pumped in 2016 to see what he was going to do, and I just found him lacking. He didn't really do much. He was sort of like your blandest, I'm going to destroy the world sort of villain with weak motivations. His Horseman characters were okay as well. They didn't really have much to them. To be honest, I thought all of the Horsemen, Storm, Archangel, I can't remember the other one's name, I thought all of them were really weak in the film. The actual X-Men characters themselves, though, get a lot of really good development. We get to see Nightcrawler, which is cool. I love to see him back. We didn't get a scene with Nightcrawler like we got in X-Men 2. I was hoping we'd get a scene like that, but Nightcrawler was good. Mystique was good in the film. I love at the end of the movie where they go into the Sentinel room and Mystique's like, "You're X-Men," and just that moment at the end was just like, okay, this feels like an X-Men movie. That's the best thing I can say about this film. It feels like a comic movie. It feels like a superhero film. It feels like a true X-Men movie. It feels like it's been pulled straight from the comics and bursted onto the big screen, which I love. The Wolverine scene is great. If you didn't know that scene, they showed a little bit of it in the trailer, but hopefully I didn't know Wolverine was in this movie at all. So when I first saw that, it was so exciting to me, and I really liked that scene. Rewatching it, it does feel a little bit forced. It felt like they just put him in there because, we can have Wolverine in this scene, but it adds to the thing of when we saw him at the end of Days of Future Past. So it continues on with that tread, and it sort of gets rid of, it sort of tells you that X-Men Origins Wolverine is completely wiped out of existence, which is a good thing. So, they've sort of changed the whole backstory for Wolverine with Days of Future Past, and that changed a lot of things in the continuity-wise. I still think the continuity of the X-Men franchise is still muddled up because of that movie. None of it really makes any sense, but that's fine because I really like the individual films. Where this movie's issues lie, though, besides the really well-developed characters, besides the villains, and some fantastic moments of action, which is really good, and comic bookness, the film's pacing does suffer. The film has a solid first, second, and third act, but the first act is really boring. Nothing much is happening. It's just basically set up for Apocalypse and set up for other things, set up for Magneto. Everything in Magneto in the workplace was really good. We got to see some more downtime with him, which I really liked. I think him and his family, like I said, I was really, really good in the movie. And some of the emotional beats really, really worked for some of the characters. But the first act was really, really bland to me. The second act hopefully picked up a bit, but it still wasn't as good as I was hoping to. Then the third act hopefully picked up again. There was a bit more action. But I never found there was a flow with this film. I always thought I just needed more. I needed to care more. And this is just a very disposably fun film, which is sad because I think X-Men First Class and X-Men Days of Future Past, I think, are almost perfect. I think those movies are absolutely incredible. They are just amazing films. This movie is just more focused on giving us great X-Men moments and making this story onto the big screen without actually thinking of making a great film, which I don't think this movie is. I still think it's a very good film, though, with a lot of great moments, as I said before. There's nothing much I have to say about X-Men Apocalypse. I'm just reviewing it because I like talking about X-Men, because I think X-Men movies are sort of underrated with all the MCU and stuff, but I think X-Men actually do have stronger movies, with movies like Deadpool and Logan, and Days of Future Past and First Class. I think all these movies are just so fantastic. And X-Men Apocalypse is easily one of the weaker ones in the X-Men franchise. Not to say it's bad, though, because I think it's a very entertaining comic book movie. And this is a true comic book film. This does feel like it is translated very well from the comics. But some elements of the film do feel very clunky. And I said I think they underused Apocalypse, but this movie has so many good sequences. And it's constant entertainment and blast from start to finish. But I'm just saying it could have been a lot better. It could have been as good and more impactful than the other two prequel X-Men movies. But I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's a very, very good movie. Overall, I'm going to be giving X-Men Apocalypse a B+. I'm also going to give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. Guys, comment down below your opinions on the X-Men franchise and this film. And of course, thanks for watching. Goodbye.